The Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission has set a threshold that determines which online streaming services will be subject to new rules arising from the Online Streaming Act, formerly known as Bill C-11. The Broadcasting Watchdog's decision says online streaming services must provide information about their activities by registering with the CRTC before November 28th. However, these stipulations only apply to those offering broadcasting content in Canada and earning $10 million or more in annual revenues. It says social media services and online services offering podcasts must register. This while social media users or individuals who use social media to share podcasts do not have to do so. Well, joining us now to unpack the CRTC's latest announcement and what this means for streaming services and podcasts in Canada is Mr. Yael Ossowski, Deputy Director of the Consumer Choice Centre. Mr. Ossowski, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me, Nima.
So can you walk us through this new threshold set by the CRTC for online streaming services and podcasts and what all this means for platforms that provide this media?
Boy, it's a very busy time if you're a digital service in Canada. We already discussed Bill C-18, and now we have Bill C-11 that is now coming to fruition. And the CRTC did give us the first indication of exactly who has to sign up and the process for that. So any online streaming service that is offering services in Canada and will have any revenues over $10 million will need to put their information down, go in the registry, and presumably provide that information to the CRTC that they could turn around and ask for more at any other time. So that's sort of an opening salvo of exactly what C-11 does. But it is another attempt by Ottawa and this government right now to continue on their sort of journey in intervening in the digital services market in Canada.
So what is the purpose of having streaming services or podcasts register with our regulator?
There's a lot of different theories out there, but from what we heard from the Heritage Minister, Pascal Saint-Onge, this is all about attempting to produce and promote good Canadian content. There's a lot of different rules that apply to the online streaming services in Canada, specific to Canadian content, as we mentioned, also to language, and also to Indigenous properties. So essentially, the idea is that we get everything registered. There would be some kind of mechanism whereby if there is a violation, if there needs to be a fine levied, they would have all of that information available so that they could contact those people. Again, we're not really sure what the exact plan is. There are many people who are saying this is the first step when you come to regulation. We're not sure what the second step is, but we do know that this registry is up and live and will continue to collect all that information from not just streamers, podcasters, but also a lot of the online content that you and I might enjoy sitting down at night on our couch.
Now, I definitely want to touch on some of the concerns expressed by podcasters in Canada. Now, some have said that they worry that this may pave the way for regulating podcasts themselves. So, as the host of a Canadian podcast yourself, sir, how do you feel about all of this?
Well, definitely not comfortable with it, and it's just not necessary. I think the government has not proven that we need to have any kind of registry for this. Podcasting has been doing very well all on its own. There's all kind of different independent companies that are offering services, programs. People are able to listen to true crime, news, politics. There are all types of different things out there. There doesn't need to be any kind of government registry. Again, we're just talking about a registry for now. But what that does is it invites something called jawboning. There's going to be a lot of pressure that will come from these institutions or these products. If your podcast might be on Spotify or on Apple, they have to be registered. They need to be sure that they follow all of the rules on Canadian content. And if you're found in contravention, you could be kicked off of those platforms. I think that's why we do need to have alternatives. And that's why I'm not super scared, because podcasting in itself is very open. It is open source. It relies on RSS. It's a very old technology, and there are all kinds of different apps, so we don't have to use these main platforms. But again, this is the same mantra that they've tried to use against Google, against Meta, and against independent broadcasters in Canada. We can't really have a regime where these digital rights, digital services are constantly under threat, because if you're an entrepreneur and trying to launch something new, you have no idea what the rules are. You don't know what the rules are today. We don't know what there will be tomorrow. I can see there's a lot of apprehension on behalf of podcasters and digital entrepreneurs overall. I hope we can continue to alleviate those concerns, but we'll see what happens next.
Lots to keep our eyes on, Mr. Ossowski. Thank you again for sharing your perspective with us.